Is Red Bull sandbagging? They have been so dominant this season that the slightest hint of weakness is mistaken for kindness. If they are, just how powerful do you think the RB19 really is? In today's video, we'll be hearing what others think about Red Bull's tyranny heading into the season break. So keep watching. Max Verstappen has brushed aside any doubts suggesting that Red Bull might be sandbagging, despite the scrutiny on his sudden surge in pace during the recent Hungarian Grand Prix. The team has been on fire this season, winning all 12 races so far, and Verstappen himself clinched his 8th consecutive victory at the Belgian Grand Prix last weekend. This remarkable triumph at Spa followed his previous win in Budapest by just 7 days, where he showed an impressive surge in speed on his first full lap after his second pit stop. Verstappen's lap 53 time at the Hungaroring, clocking in at 1:20.504, remained the fastest lap of the race, even though the reigning world champion's subsequent laps were as much as 2 seconds slower. When asked about the drop in pace after lap 53, Verstappen attributed it to the constraints of Pirelli's tyres, stating that drivers cannot sustain such intense pushing for extended periods. He shared this insight with media outlets during the Spa race weekend, saying, "It's the peak of the tyres, it's draining the battery to really do the best lap you can. And if you keep that pace up, you just degrade your tyres. The whole race, you are always pace managing. You can ask any driver, they all drive like that. Because if you keep doing what you try to achieve on a lap like that, you will have to pit within 5 laps again for new tyres. I could have won by more, I could have won by less. It's strategy related, tyre related. But I think how we did it worked really well." The suspicions of sandbagging persisted even during the Belgian GP, where Verstappen and his teammate Sergio Perez claimed another 1-2 finish, making it the 5th of the season. Blake Hinsey, a former Red Bull performance engineer, raised eyebrows when he pointed out that both drivers lifted off through Eau Rouge during the race. Hinsey shared his observations on his Break F1 YouTube channel, arguing that Eau Rouge's corner nature doesn't typically warrant a conservative approach to protect the tyres, even though they are subjected to both lateral and vertical forces in that specific section of the track. He said, "Tyre management is something that the race engineers and drivers were talking about a lot throughout the race. They did spend a lot of the time on the soft tyres, trying to manage this to get a longer stint out of it. But if you look at an entire lap around Spa, if you wanted to save tyre energy, yes, you could save tyre energy through Eau Rouge, but saving tyres through a high-speed corner that's almost easy flat in order to bleed lap time down the long straight after that makes absolutely no sense. If you wanted to save tyre energy, I would do it somewhere like turn 10. It's a high-speed corner, it's a relatively long-duration corner, and there's a very short straight after it." Hinsey proposed a theory regarding concerns over ride height during sprint weekends, where teams have only 1 hour of practice to establish a functional setup. He suggested that these time constraints might have prompted Red Bull to be vigilant about excessive plank wear due to the compression experienced at Eau Rouge. In his latest column for Sky, Martin Brundle pointed out that during the F1 Belgian Grand Prix, it seemed as if Max Verstappen was driving an entirely different car when he caught up with, and overtook, his Red Bull teammate Sergio Perez. Brundle analysed Verstappen's dominant performance and made a remark that he acknowledged might fuel conspiracy theories. He wrote, "Perez in the other Red Bull was 22 seconds behind, such was Verstappen's command over his ever-willing car. When Max caught Sergio, it was as if he was in a different car. That one is for the conspiracy theorists to seize on, because he was able to take tighter lines and still get better exit traction. He's found a way to carry speed while continuing to babysit the Pirellis. It's a touch, feel and finesse that's very difficult to learn and achieve, in my experience." Max Verstappen has continued his near-invincible form from the previous season at Red Bull. While Red Bull remains the dominant team on the grid, the significant gap between Verstappen and his teammate Sergio Perez hints at other factors in play. Mika Hakkinen, a 2-time world champion, shares the belief that Red Bull tends to design their car to suit Verstappen's driving style more. This advantage in car tuning makes it a challenging task for anyone to outperform Verstappen on the track. As of now, Max Verstappen holds the leading position in the drivers' standings, with his teammate Sergio Perez securing the 2nd spot. The points difference between the two drivers is quite substantial, standing at an impressive 125 points. Despite both supposedly driving the same car, Perez has struggled to match Verstappen's performance. This contrast was evident once again at the Belgian GP, where Verstappen, starting from P6 due to a penalty, managed to win the race with an impressive lead of over 22 seconds. On the other hand, Perez qualified at P2 and secured the second-place trophy. Mika Hakkinen believes that nobody will be able to match Max Verstappen's extraordinary talent on the track. Verstappen's exceptional performance has led him to secure 8 consecutive victories in F1, continuously widening the gap between him and other drivers. According to the Flying Finn, the key to Verstappen's success lies not only in his driving prowess, but also in the car that Red Bull Racing has tailored to suit him. It remains uncertain whether any other driver can keep up with the 25-year-old's remarkable car and driving combination. During his conversation with motorsport.com, the Finnish legend emphasized the practice of creating custom-made cars for each driver by their respective teams. He pointed out that these tailored cars are specifically designed to suit the individual driving styles and preferences of the drivers. As a result, he believes that some other drivers might not be able to replicate the same level of winning performances if they were to drive the exact same car as a dominant driver like Max Verstappen. He said, "The car that Max drives is also tailor-made for him. The way he submits is designed according to his wishes. If you put a driver in the same car, they will have a different driving style. That might not work then. Maybe it wouldn't work for Max either." Hakkinen further illustrated his point by providing a personal example. He mentioned that there was often speculation about what would have transpired if he and Michael Schumacher had been teammates racing for the same team. However, Hakkinen emphasized that each team customizes their car to suit their primary driver's style, making it difficult to predict the outcome of such a hypothetical scenario. The unique car-driver relationship is a critical factor in determining success on the track, and things might not have unfolded as people often speculate in such situations. Former F1 driver Karen Chandhok has expressed his concern over Sergio Perez's performance at Red Bull, stating that the Mexican driver appears to have been broken by the team in some ways. Chandhok, along with Sky F1 commentator David Croft, discussed Red Bull's current form on the Sky Sports F1 podcast. They highlighted Verstappen's sheer dominance, not only against his teammate but also the entire field in Formula One. Chandhok believes this one-sided dominance could be the only area of concern for Red Bull at the moment, saying, "I will say that the only other thing they appear to have broken is their second driver, in some ways. You know, at the start of the year, I go back to the drive he put in Jeddah, but more importantly, in Baku. Crofty and I were in the commentary box there saying, let alone the strategy, but he would have overtaken Max and won on that race. And it was a proper convincing performance, admittedly at one of his strongest circuits on the calendar, but ever since he got overtaken on, whatever it was, lap 41 in Miami, it's just gone away from him. I look at what happened even on the weekend at Spa. Max got ahead of him, and he put 22 seconds on him in 27 laps. You know, that's a big chunk of performance to put around a track where they're spending a lot of time at full throttle, driving in a straight line, essentially. And to me, that is the cause of concern. The only cause of concern at the moment in the Red Bull camp is, Max, is this the fourth teammate that he's potentially broken? I mean, who can they have alongside him? Or do they just say, you know what, we don't really need anyone to be challenging him. We're happy for someone to be half a second off the pace because our car is good enough for Max to be able to deliver at that level. So, has Sergio Perez reached his breaking point? Tell us in the comment section down below. And, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thanks for watching.